It was predicted by many experts that the Donbas region will be in focus and will see some of the hardest fighting. This is coming true, but Russian forces seem to be at the wrong end. It has suffered one of the worst blows in this fighting. Satellite images indicate that an entire Russian armored column composed of tanks and armored vehicles were reportedly destroyed as they were trying to cross a river in Donbas. Ukrainian military first tweeted about the attack on Wednesday, and this was later corroborated by British intelligence. The Ukrainian defense minister identified the river to be the Seversky Donets River near the town of Bilohorivka. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how Russia lost a full battalion tactical group trying to cross Seversky Donets River in Ukraine. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is a premium VPN service available for macOS, iOS, Windows, and Android with more than 5,400 servers in 60 countries. But why use a VPN or virtual private network? VPN is an encrypted tunnel. A VPN can protect your privacy, which is threatened by many factors like data logging by internet service providers. It can also help you access contents which are blocked based on geolocation. Why NordVPN? Its servers are fast and has zero log policy. Not only this, NordVPN has taken one step further and recently introduced a new feature, Threat Protection. Threat Protection prevents malware from getting on users' devices and blocks trackers, intrusive and malicious ads, and harmful websites. Use the link in the description to get up to 71% off the 2-year plan plus threat protection for no extra cost. At the checkout, use the code DEFENSE to get an extra month for free. The Seversky Donets River is a river that flows through Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Luhansk in Ukraine, then onwards towards Rostov Oblast in Russia. The river plays an important role in sustaining the livelihood in the adjacent area. It's an important source of fresh water in Ukraine, specifically for those living in the east. The river, which connects southern Russia to eastern Ukraine, is one of several natural barriers that block armored units from advancing into territory held by Ukraine. According to the Ukrainian Armed Forces General Staff, the Russian battalion was trying to strike at Lyman, a city of 20,000 that lies 17 miles or 27 kilometers west of the crossing point. They decided to cross the river and started setting up pontoon bridges to do so, which takes time, around 4 to 6 hours for a single one. During this, they were spotted by Ukrainian forces, most likely using drones, which Ukrainians have been using extensively. Ukraine has been very adept at ambushing Russian armored columns. They would disable front and rear vehicles immediately to stop the column from either advancing or retreating. The same methodology seems to have been followed in this case. The rest of the column was either destroyed or abandoned as the troops operating these vehicles scattered into the woods during the artillery bombardment that followed. According to the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the Ukrainian unit responsible for the operation were the artillerymen from the 17th Tank Brigade. This unit is one of Ukraine's 4 active tank brigades that operate T-64s and BMP fighting vehicles. But it wasn't their tanks that did the damage in this case, but the artillery. It was the 122mm 2S1 Gozdika self-propelled gun that rained fire down on the Russian battalion. The howitzer used has a range of 15 kilometers or 9.3 miles with standard shells and 22 kilometers or 13.5 miles with extended range rounds. It's capable of firing HE, high explosive, leaflet, HE-RAP, armor-piercing HE, flechette, and chemical rounds. The Defense Ministry of Ukraine stated in a tweet, Artillerymen of the 17th Tank Brigade of the UA Army have opened the holiday season for Russists. Some bathed in the Seversky Donets River, and some were burned by the May sun. The Russian army lost almost an entire battalion in the attempt. About 100 tanks and armored fighting vehicles were estimated to have been destroyed, and possibly hundreds of soldiers killed. Viewers may note that, unlike a fight between infantry, artillery barrages tend to blow personnel to pieces, making accurate casualty counts from the air more difficult to assess. Many T-72 and T-80 tanks, BMPs, and MT-LB armored tractors have been destroyed. It's important to note that highly trained, specialized members of the Russian engineering units who built the bridges and are hard to replace easily would be among the casualties. Britain's defense ministry said Russia lost significant armored maneuver elements of at least one battalion tactical group in the attack. A Russian battalion tactical group consists of about 1,000 troops. The ministry said in its daily intelligence update, "Conducting river crossings in a contested environment is a highly risky maneuver and speaks to the pressure the Russian commanders are under to make progress in their operations in eastern Ukraine." Though the Russians appear to have selected a decent crossing point on the river in terms of having ready road access, slow-moving water and narrow width, they failed to take into account that the Ukrainians would also be keeping an eye on this point, since it's an ideal place for a river crossing. If the Russian commander had conducted aerial reconnaissance of the area, he would have known that Ukrainian forces with artillery were present 10 miles away, and his forces were within their target envelope. The lack of tactical sense or overconfidence has resulted in such catastrophic losses. Also, as we've seen, Russians don't seem to learn. They bunched up on the road leading to the crossing without any effort to conceal their intent to cross. This same mistake has resulted in huge losses since the beginning of the offensive. We all remember the 40-mile or 65-kilometer-long Russian convoy near Kyiv, which suffered significant losses and ultimately dispersed. Some of the tactics used by Russian forces defy logic and seem to suggest that they're not fully in sync with modern combat doctrines. Given the situation, it's not hard to see why Russians are not making swift progress and getting bogged down in many areas. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.